You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Right now, 82% of the money the world's biggest companies are pouring into AI is effectively vanishing into thin air.
Just completely gone.
Yeah, poof. Welcome to the deep dive. If you're listening to this right now, you are what we like to call the learner.
Exactly.
You're someone who wants to understand the world without drowning in the absolute avalanche of information out there. And today, we have a massive stack of tech, AI, and SaaS newsletters from early June of 2026.
That's a lot of data.
It is, but they are all pointing to the exact same tectonic shift. We are looking at a fundamental rewiring of how software is built, how it's bought, and, how it is valued.
It's a totally new landscape.
Okay, let's unpack this, because starting with that 82% figure, that sounds like a typo. How is that much money just evaporating?
I know, it sounds impossible, right?
Yeah.
But it comes straight from a new report by Intelligence AI. They found that only 18% of current enterprise AI spend is actually resulting in productive output.
Just 18%.
Yeah. The rest is getting burned on API calls, hallucinations, and just wildly inefficient infrastructure. Token costs, the literal price you pay for the AI to process a chunk of text, they're rising dramatically as companies build more complex prompts.
Right, so you have massive giants like Uber publicly struggling to justify this excess spending because the CFO looks at the balance sheet and says, wait, where are the direct productivity gains to back this up?
Exactly. They're looking for the ROI, and it's just not there.
Wait, so if the productivity isn't there, are companies just accepting these massive OpenAI and Anthropic bills as the new normal, like the cost of doing business?
Well, no, not anymore. Ramp actually released their June 2026 spend data, and we are seeing a violent market reaction. When budgets tighten and trust drops, companies pivot.
Makes sense.
They're actively moving away from those expensive, massive proprietary models. Instead, we're seeing this huge surge toward open source platforms like Fireworks AI and Deep Infra, where you can host the model yourself for a fraction of the cost.
Oh, wow.
And interestingly, DeepSeek is actually trending as the top software among American firms right now.
Wait, really? DeepSeek? I thought there were heavy security concerns around them in the past.
There were, absolutely, but the ramp data neutralizes that entirely. It just neutrally reflects what buyers are actually doing. And what you're already doing is prioritizing cost efficiency and open source accessibility above almost everything else.
So the pain of the OpenAI bill has just eclipsed the old hesitations.
Basically, yeah.
But I want to go back to that 18% productivity number. If you are a company paying for an AI agent, why is it only successfully doing its job less than 1/5 of the time?
Because of trust. Or, well, the complete lack of it. Gary Tan, the CEO of Y Combinator, had this really brilliant observation in our sources.
Oh, right, the Foxconn factories thing?
Yes. He pointed out that most of the code written in AI apps today isn't actually making the AI smarter. It's there because developers are terrified of what the AI might do. They are building what he calls Foxconn factories for their agents, these massive, rigid, over-engineered safety wrappers, just to keep the AI from breaking the system.
Are we just giving these agents too much power too fast? Because reading through the WorkOS report in the stack, it feels like the way we currently authenticate AI agents is ridiculous.
Oh, it is.
It's like giving a plumber the master keys to your house, the combination to your wall safe, and the keys to your car, all just so they can fix a leaky sink in the guest bathroom.
It's honestly worse than that. The blast radius isn't just massive. It could take down your whole architecture before you even realize a token was compromised.
That's terrifying.
Right. Most AI agents right now run on what we call borrowed user sessions through OAuth. So let's say you log into a SaaS platform. You generate an authorization token that proves you are who you say you are.
Okay, standard stuff.
Then you ask a helpful little AI chatbot to look up a past invoice.
Right, a completely harmless request.
Exactly. But to do that, the system often just passes your entire user token to the AI. That agent, which only needed read access for one specific PDF, suddenly inherits your absolute administrator powers.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. If it gets confused or if someone maliciously prompts it, that same agent now has the power to refund purchases, scramble customer data, or completely delete accounts.
Wow. So the 18% productivity is basically because we have to put these agents in digital straitjackets just to stop them from accidentally deleting the company database?
Precisely. The solution, which platforms like WorkOS are pioneering, is that we have to stop treating AI like a feature and start treating it like an employee.
Right.
Agents need their own distinct identities.
Okay.
You have to implement scoped credentials and RBAC, role-based access control.
Meaning you don't just say, here is an AI, you say, this is the billing AI, and it literally is not allowed to see the user's password file.
Exactly. You give them a temporary, hyper-specific key that only unlocks the guest bathroom door, and it digitally disintegrates after 1 hour. You also need a meticulous audit log tied to every single action that specific agent takes.
Makes total sense.
There's a quote from Alex Danilowitz in the sources, who spent 3 years building an AI agent. His golden rule is, don't build for today's model, build for next year's.
So don't spend months hard-coding safety nets for a model that's going to be obsolete by Christmas. You spend your time building the right permission boundaries, like the walls of the house, so that when the smarter model arrives, it's already contained.
Exactly. And this chaos around agents and infrastructure, it isn't happening in a vacuum. It is deeply connected to a structural collapse in the wider software market.
Yeah, things are definitely shifting.
The traditional rules of building a software business, the very foundations of the SaaS industry, are crumbling because AI has made coding so incredibly cheap. We have entered the drop era.
Yes, the death of the three-act playbook. This was a piece from Mike Vernal at Conviction, and it completely reframed how I look at software.
It's a great piece.
He argues that the classic enterprise software playbook relied entirely on calendar time. For example, he looks at a company like Statsig. They started with a very specific wedge, which was experimentation.
Right.
Then, over years, they slowly added feature flags, session replays, and product analytics.
Or look at Rippling. They started by wedging into onboarding orchestration and then spent years stacking on HR, benefits, and recruiting to build a unified platform.
Right. Historically, you needed 3 to 5 years to clear that initial ACT-I wedge and another 3 to 5 years to build the rest of the suite. You had a 10-year moat just based on how long it took humans to type code.
Yeah, that time advantage.
But that calendar time is gone because anyone can build now.
The barrier to entry has essentially flatlined to zero.
The story from Century in our sources proves this perfectly. Century had a non-engineering team migrate roughly 2,500 pages of a marketing site into Markdown and code in a Git repository.
Which is massive.
Huge. And they did it in 4 months. Most of this team had never written a single line of code in their lives. They just used AI to generate and execute the migration.
When a marketing team can execute a massive technical code-based migration in a matter of months, the definition of a software company fundamentally changes.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, and honestly a little concerning. If anyone can build software and the barriers are zero, aren't we just going to drown in garbage apps? I mean, Diana Stepner's article in the sources warns that shipping faster with AI is actually making products noticeably worse. We're just creating digital landfill.
Totally.
And another piece from Wildfire Labs points out that B2B customers aren't actually loyal right now. They're just tolerating the software they use because switching is annoying.
Right, think about your own tech stack. How many tools do you actively love versus how many do you just tolerate?
I tolerate almost all of them. I drop them in a heartbeat if something better and easier came along.
And that is the terrifying new reality for founders. There is a synthesis in the sources that nails this. Apps are becoming memes.
Memes!
Yeah. When building software gets as cheap and easy as posting a joke on the internet, the unit of value stops being a traditional product roadmap. It becomes a drop.
A drop, like sneaker drops or music.
Exactly. It is made incredibly fast. It is judged instantly on whether it lands with the audience, and if it misses, it is forgotten by Friday.
So a 3-year product roadmap is basically a hallucination. It's entirely about taste, timing, and capturing the audience's attention for 5 minutes.
The venture capital landscape is already shifting to reflect this. Some VCs are no longer looking for the next 10-year enterprise behemoth. They are scouting founders the way record labels scout musicians. The question isn't, is your code base defensible? The question is, can you make a hit? And can you do it again next month?
Relying purely on marketing hype feels exhausting, though. How do you actually survive in this drop era? Surely there's a more structural way to protect yourself from becoming yesterday's meme.
There are. The sources outline 2 distinct survival strategies. The first is actually leaning into the chaos using release cadence as your primary marketing engine.
Okay, how does that work?
Mitchell from Shown Media argues that if you look at the most successful AI startups like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Higgsfield, their secret isn't just the sheer amount of money they pay researchers.
Yeah.
It is a system of continuous viral launches.
He notes that OpenAI and Anthropic run 10 plus small releases a month. 10.
Right, and the mechanism behind this is fascinating. In the old sauce days, engineers would build a feature for 6 months, hand it to the marketing team at the very end, and say, go write a blog post about this.
Yeah, go make this boring drop-down menu sound exciting.
Exactly. Now, top companies give marketing a literal seat at the monthly product roadmap meetings. They sit with engineering and decide what to build based on what is trending in the zeitgeist.
Oh, wow.
They're shipping small, hyper-specific features designed explicitly to go viral and, as the source puts it, kill entire industries on launch.
Cultural momentum as a product strategy. Okay, but you say there were 2 strategies. What's the second one?
The second strategy is the total opposite, owning a primitive. This comes from PLG News. A primitive is one small, incredibly painful, unavoidable job that everything else in the ecosystem eventually depends on.
Okay.
Think about how Stripe owns the primitive of processing a payment online, or Twilio owns the primitive of sending an automated text message.
Right, they aren't the whole app. They're just the plumbing that every single app needs to function.
Exactly. If you can build an AI-native primitive, you become the platform. You embed yourself so deeply into the infrastructure of other companies that for a customer to leave you, it wouldn't just be an inconvenience, it would feel like surgery.
Okay, so that sets up a really fascinating tension. On one hand, apps are being forgotten by Friday, like memes. On the other hand, enterprise buyers are incredibly skeptical because of that 18% productive ROI stat we talked about earlier.
Right.
So how do you actually convince anyone to pay you?
You don't charge them for the software, you charge them for the outcome.
What does that mean?
The sauce CFO, Ben Murray, lays out what might be the most profound business shift in our entire stack of newsletters. We are seeing a rapid, aggressive departure from traditional seat-based pricing, where you pay $50 a month per employee, regardless of whether they use the tool. We are moving to outcome-based pricing.
Wait, charging for outcomes sounds great for the buyer, but isn't that a nightmare for the software company? Like, it's like telling a mechanic you'll only pay them if the car successfully drives you to work, rather than paying an hourly rate for them to just stand in the garage.
It is a massive shift.
What happens if your AI software does its job perfectly, but the user is just incompetent and doesn't close the deal? How do you track that fairly?
You have to define the outcome mechanically. The sources provide hard numbers on how this works. Look at Intercom's Fin product. They charge 99 cents per successful outcome. Help Scout charges 75 cents per AI resolution.
But who decides what a resolution is? I mean, the customer could just lie and say the AI didn't help so they don't get billed.
That's where the tech catches up to the business model. Zendesk, for example, uses a 72-hour LLM-verified resolution window.
Wait, what?
Yeah, meaning an AI literally reads the chat log, confirms the customer's problem was solved, and then waits 3 days. If the human customer doesn't call back complaining within 72 hours, the LLM officially verifies the outcome and triggers the billing event.
That is wild. The AI is doing the work and another AI is auditing the work to authorize the payment.
Pretty much.
And then there's EVE CoreGuard in our sources. They don't charge pennies. They have a pricing ladder that ranges from $37,500 up to $1.2 million based strictly on risk avoidance.
Right.
If their system successfully blocks a massive security breach, they get paid the million.
To understand why companies are being forced into these radical pricing models, we have to look at how AI broke the old enterprise moats. Edward Shue wrote a brilliant piece highlighting Workday as the ultimate example.
Right, Workday.
Workday spent 20 years getting HR departments and finance departments to speak the exact same database language. That unified, structured database was their moat.
Right, because once a giant corporation puts all its employee data into Workday's specific format, it is way too painful to rip it out.
Exactly. But AI changed the climate. Large language models don't care if your database is perfectly structured. An AI agent can query an unstructured, messy HR file and a completely different, messy finance file and instantly translate between them.
Oh, I see.
The old software control point, the structured database, is rapidly weakening.
So buying an AI interface layer, like Workday just did for $1.1 billion, is that basically like a country buying control of the only major shipping port just to make sure all the new AI trade still has to pass through their toll booths?
That is exactly what it is. They had to buy a new control point to adapt.
Yeah.
But actually selling these new AI interfaces to other businesses has gotten incredibly complex.
How so?
There's a piece from GTM SOS explaining the new B2B buying committee. If you are selling software right now, You can't just find one excited champion inside a company who has a corporate credit card.
You have to run the gauntlet.
You do. For a mid-sized sale, you have to get past 4 distinct factions. You have the product team, who wants technical clarity. You have finance, who wants the ROI numbers to make absolute sense.
Right.
You have security, who wants to know your agents aren't going to leak their data. And your original champion, they just want to ensure they don't look like an idiot to their boss for picking your tool.
And the advice in the source is that you can't use 4 different pitches. You need one clear, unified story that naturally answers the fears of all 4 factions.
But here is the real kicker. Even with a perfect story, buyers do not trust your sales reps anymore.
They don't.
No. Pierre Harabel's piece on LinkedIn Content points out that decision makers are actively ignoring cold emails and sales calls. Instead, they're looking at podcasts, online communities, and external thought leaders. The authority has shifted outside the company.
And Google sees this happening. They are launching search profiles in the US, which will show up in knowledge panels and discover feeds.
Exactly.
This allows creators and publishers to shape their own presence on search. It is Google officially acknowledging that individual creator trust and external validation are what actually drive discovery now. Nobody trusts a corporate landing page anymore. They trust a smart person on the internet dissecting the tool.
And this breakdown in traditional trust isn't just happening on the buyer side. It's happening on the investor side, too. Hunter Walk has a piece pushing back on venture capitalists who are mindlessly raising larger and larger funds just because their competitors are doing it.
Right.
He argues it just commoditizes capital. But the more profound shift is happening with the founders themselves.
Right. The Motive Notes piece about the angel investors' $3.6 billion exit, this blew my mind.
It's a critical shift in how tech is built. In the old days, a founder was locked in. They only got rich if they built a sustainable, lasting enterprise that eventually IPO'd 10 years later. But now, because of highly liquid secondary markets and SPVs, special purpose vehicles, founders and early employees can sell chunks of their private shares 3 or 4 years in.
Meaning a founder can take $10 million off the table, buy a mansion, and suddenly they don't have the same desperate hunger to build a 10-year business.
The traditional incentive structures that kept investors, founders, and employees aligned for a decade are totally breaking down.
Which brings us to a really uncomfortable question. If agents are running amok, doing the actual work, and apps are just disposable drops, and we're buying automated outcomes tracked by other AI, and the founders are cashing out via secondary markets years early,
It's a lot.
where does that leave the regular humans who still have to go to work every day?
You've probably noticed this tension in your own workflow. The tech industry is currently scrambling to build interfaces that allow humans to actually manage this chaos without losing their minds.
Like what?
Well, OpenAI just updated their Codex platform with a feature called Sites, which turns static data into functional, web-hosted internal apps that colleagues can share.
They also added annotations for in-place spreadsheet edits, and the mechanism there is key.
Definitely.
Instead of asking the AI to rewrite a whole document, which is usually when it hallucinates or completely breaks your formatting annotations, lets the AI surgically edit just one specific cell or paragraph while leaving the rest of the human's work untouched. It's about giving humans precise, localized control.
Asana is taking a different approach. They are pitching themselves as the easy button for the enterprise. They just launched an agentic work management platform.
Okay, what does that do?
They introduced a feature called Dash, which acts as a chief of staff agent and AI teammates. Asana argues that the reason most AI agents fail in a corporate setting is that they lack organizational memory.
Right.
They don't know who is on vacation. They don't know the unwritten rules of the design team. Asana is trying to be the infrastructure that aligns the humans and the agents around the same shared context.
But fixing the software only goes so far if the underlying human communication is broken. And that's why I loved the 37 Signals Guide to Internal Communication by Jason Fried that was included in our stack.
Oh, yeah.
They run their entire company almost exclusively on long-form, asynchronous writing. Their philosophy is that meetings are an absolute last resort. They have this great, painful rule of thumb. A 1-hour meeting with 5 people isn't a 1-hour meeting. It is a 5-hour meeting. You just burn 5 hours of human potential.
And their stance that ASP is poison is incredibly relevant right now. When the whole industry is moving at the speed of AI meme drops, the natural instinct is to make everything urgent.
Everything.
Chat apps make everything feel like an emergency. But as Fried points out, writing solidifies thought, while chat just dissolves it.
It forces clarity. You can't hide a bad idea in a well-written, long-form document.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it leads us directly to Deb Liu's concept of the AI treadmill. Her piece argues that AI is doing exactly what we asked it to do. It is successfully stripping away repetitive, tedious work.
Yeah.
It is making us vastly more efficient.
Right.
But the ultimate question we have to answer is, what do we choose to do with the newly created space?
Right. Do we just crank up the speed on the treadmill? Do we take the efficiency gains from AI and use them to pile on more busy work, more rapid-fire meme apps, and more pointless, urgent chat messages? Or do we actually use that time to think carefully, to daydream, and to wonder?
Creativity and ingenuity require open space. If we just fill the gap left by AI with more frantic execution, we lose the exact human element that invents the next leap forward.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you are managing a team right now or trying to navigate your career, you have to be wildly intentional. There's a piece in our sources from Speedrun about the trend of building in public.
Right.
It highlights how some founders turn their daily struggles into a marketing engine. But the underlying rule is that building in public only works if you are actually doing something worth talking about. You can't just make noise to feed the algorithm. You have to step off the treadmill and create actual durable value.
Because if you don't, you are just competing with agents who can make noise much faster than you can.
To quickly recap the journey we've been on today, we started with the massive 18% ROI reckoning in AI tokens and how the blast radius of OAuth tokens is forcing developers to build strict permission boundaries.
They did.
We explored the death of the 3 to 5 year SaaS playbook, moving into a wild new era where apps are treated like disposable memes, which in turn is forcing companies to radically shift to outcome-based pricing verified by LLMs. And finally, we looked at the fight to maintain human creativity and organizational memory in a world moving at light speed.
And before we go, there's one final thought I want to leave you with, looking at where all these specific trends intersect.
Okay.
We talked about software becoming as fast and ephemeral as dropping a meme. We talked about AI agents being given scoped credentials to execute tasks. And we talked about outcome-based pricing, where an AI verifies the work of another AI before triggering a payment.
Yeah, that whole loop.
So if an AI agent can identify a problem in a company's workflow, instantly spin up a micro app to solve it, pay another agent 75 cents for a verified outcome, and then spin the whole thing down by Friday, all without human intervention. At what point does the human consumer disappear from the B2B software economy entirely? Are we currently just building the plumbing and the infrastructure for a completely non-human economy?
That is a staggering thought. Are we just the plumbers handing over the master keys, fixing the sink, and then slowly stepping out the front door for good? Thank you for joining us on this custom deep dive. Stay insanely curious, keep asking the hard questions, and whatever you do, don't let the information overload win. We will catch you next time.
Spoken Tech for your ears.